Hi everyone, welcome to Hilltop View Journals. Today I'm going to be making this little journal with you. It is for the collaboration with Rach and Bella Crafts entitled My Daily Spread. You'll find all the details in the description box. And this journal is certainly not finished. I haven't bound it. I've just put the pages together. I've decorated the cover and I've put a temporary topper on the cover just as some encouragement and some inspiration on how I want the journal to look inside. So please do join me for the tutorial now, and as I work through making this journal I'll have a little bit of a chat with you as well about the collaboration and what I'm hoping to do for the next 30 days. For this journal I'm going to be using the Shabby Pages kit that Rachel has brought out for the collaboration. There's two kits, well actually there's three kits. There's one foundation kit that is, it goes with everything. So whichever kit you want to work with, even if it's not something of Rachel's, it will always go with it. There's a botanical kit as well, and I've got a couple of pages printed of the botanical kit, I think, here somewhere. And I haven't printed it all out yet because I'm not ready to make that journal. Let's have a look here. I know they are here somewhere. This is the foundations kit, which is just amazing. Here we are. That's what these look like. I just printed a couple of the pages. There's another one. And that's another one. And that's another one. So they are gorgeous as well. But today I'm going to use or start using the Shabby kit. So I've printed just the background pages for now. And you don't have to use Rachel's kits to follow along in the collaboration. I'm happy to use them because I love them. So that's what I'll be doing. I haven't printed on the other side for now because I haven't quite worked out how this is going to go. And while I'm flipping through this, what I wanted to explain was how I'm going to approach this project. So usually when I plan something out to go on YouTube, I will have a rough idea of what I want it to look like, and I will have thought about all the stages, and I will then have a plan together for, if it's a series, it'll be a set of videos, and I don't stick to the plan 100%, but I've usually got a really good idea of what I'm going to make. I haven't got an idea of what I'm going to make for this, other than a smallish journal that's focusing on collage. So those are the pages. So that's all I know. And rather than faff about and waste time trying to figure out what I want to show you, I thought I'll just bring you along the journey, and you can share the trials and tribulations with me as I work through what I want to create. So I do have a rough idea, but I want to do so many different types of journals that it's been difficult to focus on one. So I'm going to start off with this, see how it goes. And what I'm hoping to achieve through these videos is to show you, you don't have to be perfectly planned to start a journal. You can just get going and build on it. And that's what we're going to be doing in these videos over the next couple of weeks. So here's my base for my journal. And it's not quite the right size. It's a little bit too big. It is just a box. I bought a camping light. It's a very good one, actually, if you're interested. If you are interested, let me know in the comments and I will post a link to it on Amazon. I'm going to measure out 5 by 5 inches because I think that'll be the sweet spot. I could get 6 by 6 out of this, but I think 5 by 5 will kind of be cute. I may regret this, but I'm going to go with it anyway. And it's got a really nice spine on it. It's going to give me loads of space. So that's what I am planning on doing. So I'm going to cut this 5 by 5. So I'm going to do the top first, and I'm going to use my knife. And just make an incision. And do the same here. And I'm just using my messy mat to get it straightish. So Rachel's kit, Shabby Papers, has got the word shabby. So I'm thinking, could still be a little bit grungy. I reckon so. Okay, so let's measure 5 here. I should be able to go all the way down here, maybe. No, I can't. So let's measure 5 down the bottom here as well. So it's approximately 12 3/4 centimetres by 12 3/4 centimetres, or 5 by 5 inches. That's what I'm going for. Of course, you don't have to go for this size. You could make yours A5, which would fit the digital kit perfectly. So I'm just going to cut that like that, and then line this up. And I will keep these just in case for now. Okay, that is what it's looking like. How exciting, the start of a new journal. I wonder what this is going to look like by the end. It's a very exciting part of the process. All right. So, no idea how I'm going to make the cover, what I'm going to put on it or anything. So in those circumstances, I always go for book pages. And I've got a pack here of various bits of paper. And so I'm just going to dig out all the pages that are book pages. No digital kits or anything, just book pages. Got a nice range here. And they're quite neutral, so I'm just going to tear them up loosely. This is actually a poster, an old poster, and they're not all going to be tidy edges, but most will be, and I will probably do both sides of the journal cover. So, you know, this side and that side in the same, so that it will just be easy then, like a base for me to work on when I figure out how I want it to look. And you may not like working like that. You may want to have everything planned out, but I really do think sometimes that it stops me from making progress, because I'm constantly planning and I'm not actually physically doing anything. So I do like to get, oh, I don't know, just get going on it and just make a start. Now, if you do cut off these pieces of book pages, because sometimes you just want the text, you don't want the white space, these are perfect for making watercolour swatches on, and that's what I like to do with them. So I don't think you need to watch me do all this now, so I'm just going to carry on cutting some of these up, and then we'll start collaging the actual covers. Great, so I've got a nice little pile here, and I'm going to be using glue stick because it's not so wet and it'll be much quicker to dry. And I'm going to use an old credit card. This isn't my credit card, so don't worry. And I'm going to smooth the edges down. And what I like to do is go over the edge and then cut the edge. And I'm not going to worry about getting glue over the pages because I will be painting over them. And you can use any type of paint. You could even use, if I can find it here, you could even use furniture paint, or you know, your little paint pots that you get in your Home Depot or your B&Q if you're in the UK, and use gesso if you like, white paint, anything will work. Or you could just leave it as it is. You don't have to paint over it. So what I want to try and do is not leave any bubbles. It's not quite big enough. Like just a little bit of contrast. There we go. I might actually do it like that. Okay, so just focus on covering as much of each piece as you can with the glue. So if you don't mind taking a little bit of time drying, then it would be a very good idea to use matte gel, because matte gel will give it a lovely finish. And what I'm on about here is this matte gel Liquitex. That's what I like to use. But I'm too impatient today, so I'm just going in with a glue stick. And if I wasn't a messy pup, I would be doing this on a piece of paper. But I am a messy pup. Everyone knows I'm a messy pup. So I'm doing it straight on the cover. And I'm not going to worry if I can see through the paper because I will be covering it. And I'm going to continue now putting this on until I get every bit covered. Okay. That's great, that's finished one side. What you can also do is I'm using some surgical tape here, which will give it some nice texture. So you could also use masking tape, or depending on the look, you could also use washi. Just pop them on a few pieces. just make it look, it does just go into the background, but it will give you a different texture when you add whatever you're going to add on top. I think I cover the majority of my journals like this because I just love doing it so much. It's just an enjoyable thing to do. Okay, so that is that, and I would like to use my knife to go across there, but I fear it will rip because it's still wet. So I shall use my scissors. So when this is dry, I probably will do a little bit of sanding along the edge. And you can see here, this is corrugated card. I like that look. You might not like that look. If you don't like that look, then the best thing to do is to leave yourself a good margin and then just fold it over like that. And then you can start doing the other side, if that's what you prefer. But I like that look, so I'm happy to keep it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. Once you've got to this stage, if you just feel for your spine, and then on the inside just lightly run your thumb down to get that crease, and then you can feel the crease there. And what you want to do now is you want to put this under some heavy books and leave it dry for a few hours. And if you are using some masking tape or some medical tape, it is great for the seams. So if you've got some paper that's likely to chip away, if you've got some delicate paper like this dark brown one is, it is nice to go along and cover that edge up. So I'm going to pop this under some heavy books now and let it dry. For the inside of the journal, for the pages, I haven't decided how many pages I'm going to have as yet. And what I was thinking of doing was not doing too many pages in advance. So I don't want a finished journal that I then have to work in, because I find that incredibly difficult. I quite like working loosely and not working in order and just mixing and matching things. So I'm going to carry on using the scraps that I've got here, and I've also, to the side of me here, cut up some piano sheets, 2 different colours. You could use brown paper, paper bags, anything like that. And I'm going to make franken pages. And franken pages are a little bit like a masterboard, where you just glue bits of paper together, but there's no backing. You just glue one piece of paper onto the other piece of paper. And then you end up with what looks like a Frankenstein kind of style page. And I really like to make those for journals that I'm going to use predominantly for collage. You can still journal on them because you can cover them with paint or gesso or even plain bits of paper on top. But what it does is it gives you a wonderful background to work on, and I find that really helps then just to give me ideas. And I tend to do this task at night when I'm in front of the TV, so my husband will be watching his usual rubbish, which will be driving me insane. So I might put something on my headphones and then I will just start gluing paper down. And I try to glue the paper so that it makes a nice pattern, but then I try not to think about it too much either. And I like to use something like Bailey Art Precision Craft Glue. You can use any type of PVA. You could also use your glue stick, but I find it gets a bit messy. And I'm not really precise when I am gluing. That would just be too much work. I don't think I want to use that. It's too much there. But what I like to do is loosely glue a couple of edges, and then I will go in after I finish the pages and I will either stitch them or add washi tape or the medical tape, anything like that. And as you can see, you've got both sides of the page then that are covered, and I really like this style. I just find it does really help me. And I'm not really worried about what's on the other side, because I am going to be able to collage over it anyway. So what I need to do is, these are going to be a bit of a pain actually because they're quite curvy, but I'm going to persevere with them. I'm just going to put a couple of these pieces together, and I like to do mine in a large sheet. So when I'm sitting on my lap, I've got this sort of long thing that just gets longer and longer and longer on the floor. It's quite funny. And I don't like to make the franken pages the exact size. I do like to try and make them larger than what I need, because then I can cut them down or rip them and get them just the right size for the journal. So I know I've gone too big here, but it's going to be okay because I will measure in a minute. So I'll just cut the edge off here. So again, you're just gluing. Right, let's see the size I've got. So I've made this, 7. Okay, so I've made it 7 inches tall. That's fine. I will carry on now happily, knowing that if it goes smaller, 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 it doesn't matter because I've got loads of space. And all I'm going to do is just carry on gluing these. And I pretty much do it until I'm bored and I don't want to do any more. I've been known to do this for a couple of hours, just carrying on making these, and have a big pile on my lap. And yeah, just keep on gluing. I also use digital kits for this quite a bit, and I will go and dig out some now to show you what it looks like as a digital kit. So this is what it looks like. So if you've got a theme that you know you want to use, then you can work on them like this. And what I would do then is, because I've used kit pages that I've printed that's got either no background on them, or I think on these ones, I think it's just got sort of plain backgrounds, I will then go in on the other side and just add more of the kit that I'm using. And I think that's really nice. And for a standard journal, that is what I would do. But I don't want my pages to be so fixed. I actually want to be able to play with them now with Rachel's kit and experiment a little with the kit pages. But that is certainly something that you can do for your journal. You can leave little windows that you can cover with some kind of tape, or if you've got some vellum, so you can see through. That adds a nice little bit of texture, like that. And you can use washi throughout, and washi is perfect for this type of activity. It's if I just pop a little piece on here now. So it's really good where you haven't quite got enough to go on the seam. Just pop a bit of washi on. And just keep on going. It's as simple as that. And honestly, I just love doing this. I mean, obviously it takes a lot longer than putting some pages together. You know, folding book pages or paper. But where's the rush? Isn't it nice just to take your time to do something and then create something that adds such lovely texture? And this is, I think, probably the way I've made all my collage journals to date, just using this type of technique. And it's so easy to paint over as well. So there we are. I've already got probably enough there for a page. And I will take this to my house now and keep on going until I've got enough just for a couple of pages where I can start making this journal. I'm still waiting for the collage in on the journal cover to dry, and once that's dry we'll carry on then making the journal cover so that it at least looks like something that we can start decorating. Jumping back to the journal cover now, because this has been drying overnight, and what I want to do is strengthen the spine bends here because it's split, which is fine. This is what happens when you're using paper. I'm going to use my tape here, my medical tape. Again, you could use masking tape, or you could put some fabric on the join, and I think that'd be a nice idea. But as I know I'm going to paint the cover, I'm not ready to commit to any layers that I don't want to cover up. So that will stop it splitting. Let's do the other side. You could use packaging tape as well. You can get nice matted packaging tape. Depends what kind of look you're going for, I think. Okay, and I wanted to sand all along there, and I've got my sanding block here. So I'll probably round the corners as well, because that's what I like to do with my sanding block. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to round the pages yet, but I think it just makes a nice edge. So I'm just going to sand on each side and make sure that the layers are sort of glued tightly and aren't going to come loose. So this is nicely sanded now. If you did fold over your paper to cover this edge in here, then you might not want to sand that down, but I didn't do that. I did maybe on a couple of areas, but most of it I can still see the corrugated card. So this is what it's looking like so far. I've not made a journal with this shape or size before, so it's going to be quite interesting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. And I'm going to put gesso over the front of it, and I'm going to leave the back because I'll be using those as pages to do the daily spread challenge. So I am just now going to stick a load of gesso over this and let it dry. We've got a lovely day here in Wales, so perfect weather for drying gesso. And I'm using a silicone brush, which is a brilliant tool because you can just wipe it once you finish with it rather than having to dip it in water and clean your brushes out. So you can put as much or as little gesso on as you want. I want to mute this down to push all the pages back so that they just sort of disappear into the background. But you can put as much or as little on as you want. You'll still be able to see it. And it's a good chance to get really messy. Get it all over your fingers. I don't mind if any goes in the inside of the journal. That's absolutely fine. Messier the better in my book. Okay, that's that bit done. I'm going to let this dry now. So I'm going to go back to my pages now. And I did a little bit of gluing last night. And I've got my franken pages here. So I didn't do too much, just enough I think. I've worked out, I think, that I need 9 pages because 9 pages times 4 sides is 36. So that's more than enough for the 30-day challenge. And I've got a couple of options then to actually do some of the pages like a double spread as well as just doing single pages. So I thought that'd be enough. And of course I'll have another 2 sides with the journal cover. And while my journal's drying, because I didn't think about it ahead of time, I've just cut a piece of music paper down into the 5x5 so I can then measure out these pages. And I do want my pages to be different sizes, and I'll also be using probably some book pages as well in this, as well as the franken pages. But we'll see how many franken pages I can get out of this. And it's just a simple question of folding them into the right size. So I'll do one a proper size, like that, and then tear it, or you can cut it, whatever you want to do, whatever sort of aesthetic you want to try and get going. I'm obviously going for scrappy and messy. Anyway, I've ripped that already. So let's just try and get that back. And we will glue that back on. Get my glue. There we are. Doesn't take much to fix a franken page. Perfect. So that's one page. Now I know these are too long, but I will cut them when I'm ready. So that's one page. And then I'm just not going to measure the next page. And I'm just going to cut. And I think that's what I'll probably do from now on. Just cut them so that they all come out different sizes. So I do find it easier to fold before cutting though, just to give me an idea of what the page size looks like. come off a little bit, that's okay. And then I'll just cut this one. I think I'll just get rid of that. Or maybe I could even use that, who knows. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I'm going to do 9, I need a couple of other book pages. So 3 more book pages and we'll be done. Okay, so I've got this small book page. I've got this gorgeous tracing paper which came off the front here, and then I've got this book page which I've done a little bit of a patch repair on there because it ripped as I was pulling it out of the book, so it's very delicate, so no doubt it's going to rip more, I should think. Now I think what I'll do is I'll put some tape over this as well, over the fold, just to protect it. Snip that off, I think. There we go. So I think I'm going to have 3 signatures with 3 pages in. I think that's how it's going to work. So I put that there, that there, that there. That's 3, that's 3, and that's 3. So not quite equal, but hey, doesn't matter. And what I need to do now as well is put them all the same height. So let's put that like that. And that there. Let's move this to the top. Put that there like that, and then we can take this off. And of course, these bits that you're taking off are pure treasure. Do not bin them. Absolutely do not bin them. Okay, so we'll pop that in there and that like that. Use this as a guide. Of course, you can cut yours if you don't want yours to be so messy, but I'm loving the mess. And then this last set, pop that up there. And that like that. And we are going a little bit over the edge of the 5 inches there, but that's okay. We can either trim it down when we start looking at how the journal looks, or we can just have little bits sticking out. I imagine there's going to be lots sticking out anyway, because some of the prompts that Rachel has added to the list are things like tabs and pokey out things. So we've got that like that. And we've got that one there, and we've got that one there. So there is my 9 pages. And I've just got to do now is patiently wait for the gesso to dry. And then we can see what this looks like in the journal. dry enough to handle. It's really messy inside. That's okay. I can always go back in and add some more gesso. And so this is what it looks like. Now, if we look at the spine, I reckon she's going to be a chunky monkey for sure by the time each page is stuffed, because I reckon, I'm guessing on the prompt lists that you're going to be adding quite a bit to your journal pages, because after all, that's what we do with junk journals, don't we? We add lots of tags and journaling cards and flips and flaps and pockets and tuck spots and all manner of things. So I may not have enough room, but I'm not going to stress about it, because if the journal ends up like that, then the journal ends up like that. That is just the way of the world. So, and I think the size of the pages is perfect. We've got quite a bit going on. I can always rip more pieces off, and I do like having these little pieces. And the other thing you can do as well is actually add pieces, which we'll be doing as part of the challenge. So I am happy to leave it like that. And so you can see now that if I did a page spread here, this goes with the franken page quite nicely. So I'm happy with that. And I'm not going to bind these in because I really don't know where this journal is going. There's a couple of things you could do at this stage. It depends on how you want to work with your pages. I don't know how I want to work with mine, so I'm going to leave them as is. But I did think I could potentially use my sewing machine and stitch up the middle of each one of these. That'd be a nice, quick and easy option to do. Or what you could do is you could make a template now and put your 3 holes in for the 3-hole pamphlet stitch and just tie them loosely together, so at least they're in one piece. Or you could, like what I'm probably going to do is, if I can find it here on my desk, I did see it this morning, a rogue paper clip. I thought, oh, I need to use that. Keep them together like that. And that way you can still work on them. And it might be a nice idea as you work on them to mix and match them then and sort of change the order of the pages. That's why I like the idea of not binding them at this stage. You don't have to have a finished journal to start. You don't have to get it all perfect right at the very beginning, because I think that just adds a little bit of friction to getting everything started. I think sometimes it becomes difficult. So I might keep that like that, so it's maybe a contrast, who knows. So I've got my 3 signatures there, got my journal, and for the cover, because I have no idea what I'm going to do, I thought I might do a little bit of stenciling on there with gesso. And you could use textured paste, but if you haven't got textured paste, then you can make your own. So if you've got white paint or gesso, or even if you wanted to use different type of paint colour, it doesn't matter. But you can add things to the whatever paint you're using to make it into texture paste. So you can use corn flour, you can use talcum powder, or plaster of Paris. So I've got talcum powder spare, so I'm going to go and grab that now and get some paper and then make some textured paste and do some stenciling on here. Okay, so I got my gesso and I got my talcum powder, and I'm just going to put, actually I think I might use my silicone brush just to get it out. What I like to use as well, but I'm running out of it and I do need to get some more, is you can buy heavy gesso, super heavy gesso, and that is really good for stenciling, I find. I really like using that. Right, be prepared to make a mess. So I have no idea how much to add to this. I just add a bit, mix it up, and then either add more gesso or add more powder. So you want to get it so that it's very thick, I think. And the other thing you can use, which I like to use, is plaster. So you can get plaster in tubes from your local hardware store. I've obviously put way too much gesso down. So I'm going to have to do a ton of stenciling now, which isn't really a problem, is it? But I may create some stencil pages on some of the background pages of Rachel's kit. So it's been about 10 minutes now of mixing with loads of talcum powder. And there we are. So I think that's quite a nice consistency. Could make it thicker, but what you don't want is it too runny. I made a real mess here now, so I'm just going to try and scrape that off and wipe it. I don't inadvertently put it somewhere. And I'm going to do really simple leaf design on both sides because it's probably going to get covered up. So I guess the best thing to do is try not to be too precious about it. Now I don't want to go over the spine area, so I'm just going to cover the page, or cover the cover I should say. So if you have got textured paste, by all means use it. That's probably the best thing for the job. But just in case you don't, I thought I would mix this up. So you've got options and you don't have to go out and buy stuff. I mean, most people have got corn flour, haven't they? And hopefully you've got some household paint or something, or white acrylic paint. I've used this stencil a lot, so it's a bit damaged. So I'm not expecting it to come out perfect. There we go. That's not too bad at all. Yeah. And let's do this side. And I'll use the smaller one. And just pop it. It's a bit awkward the way I've got my desk set up. There we go. Oops. So I'm going to put that to one side and let it dry. And then maybe grab a sheet, a background page here, and do some stenciling on that. I'm just going to use the same stencil just to avoid making a mess. You could make this in a little pot to keep if you want to. As long as it's airtight, should keep for a while. And if I'd thought about that, it would have been a good idea, but I didn't think about it, so. I'm just going to use it up. When you're doing stenciling, it is a good idea if you practice a little bit first, just so you can test the consistency of the paste you've made and see how it reacts. So there's a little bit of seepage underneath there, but that's absolutely fine. I'll probably be ripping it up anyway. So I'll pop that there and have a bit of a clean up. And just before I clean up, I wanted to mention what I do when I'm cleaning the stencil is I like to clean it over some brown paper, and then you'll get whatever's on your stencil on the paper underneath. So sometimes you can get some really nice designs, nice and subtle, because it'll just be like a ghost print. So I'm just going to do that and get some of that yummy paint off the stencil. It will bleed underneath, but you'll still get a nice impression there. So you can use that in your artwork as well. I'm just going to distress these a little bit, these edges, and I'm using antique linen distress oxide. So it's a sort of like a creamy colour. And just going to go around here. And I'm going to do the edges here as well. Okay. And yep, that's looking like that. I'm just going to leave the inside for now. Now I've got a feeling that my wonderful viewers are not going to be 100% satisfied with me just leaving the cover like this. So I thought I would do something temporary. And I'm going to use, got these toppers from the Shabby Pages kit from Rachel, and I'm going to use these as inspiration to make my own topper. And I'm going to use that image there. Now I don't know, it is pretty big. That's the only downside to it. I should have really have got something a lot smaller. Let me cut it out anyway, just to see what it looks like. I think I can make it work. I reckon I can. So I'm going to slightly round the corners. Oh, I've got my little corner rounder here. Now with this one, it does mean that it will cover the whole of this, but it is only going to be on there temporary, and I'll be able to use it on one of the pages. I may even use it on the inside cover at some point. But let's have a look here and see what we can play with. So what we've got is, we've got a ticket there. We've got a little flower embellishment, which I might not use because, well, maybe I will. I'm not quite sure what kind of flower to put there. Then we've got a little tag and a bit of doily. And then we've got layers. So the first thing I'm going to do is mount this on a little bit of card. So I've got this here. So I'm just going to glue this in place. Oh, that one's run out. And we need a tag, so I'm going to use one of the background pages. I think I'm going to go for the green. It's a toss between the blue and the green. Both go equally lovely. No, I'm going to go with the green. Decided, green it is. You never know, I may make a blue one as well. So I've got to decide what size to do the tag. So we haven't got much room on here. Okay, so let's have a quick measure. We've got less than 2 inches, so less than 5 centimetres. So let's go with 4 centimetres. So it's going to be quite a bitty tag. Actually, what I'll do is I'll keep it folded so that will give it the strength I need instead of backing it. It'll be easier. So if that's 4 centimetres, then I think I'd like to go 8 centimetres. Yeah, that'll fit. Okie dokie. Right, let's just bend that in like that and snip off the corners. And we're going to leave the tag plain, but I will stitch around it. And let's have a look at this image again. So it has got some string and an eyelet. So let me get that sorted. I've got my crocodile here. And my eyelets, but I don't have any small eyelets. Actually, I think I need to stitch around this before I punch it. So I'll go and do that now. So while I was at the sewing machine, I also did some messy stitching around this. Okay, so let's pop this in. It's going to be a bit big, but it's going to have to do. There we go. and a little bit of string. So that's the first couple of parts. And we've also got in the image a little cluster going on here, a bit of a doily there, a doily or a piece of lace. Now I've got lace here. Okay, did a bit of digging. This is probably the best one, I think. And I can cover those horrible marks there. So yeah, I think that'll work all right. Maybe not. Oh, there we are. Oh, I can still see those little pieces. See if we can cover them. Yep, that'll go like that. Okay, so we've got a little bit of lace there. So kind of like that, that's quite pretty. So we'll cut enough off. So we've got that piece of lace there. And I'm putting the really difficult bits off. I'll do that last, which is of course the fussy cut flowers. So the next thing I want to do is the backgrounds. So let us choose some backgrounds. So this will make a nice background. And that one. And possibly that one. Okay. And what I've got to work out is what size to do them. So I'm running out of sort of space, really. So let's just dive in and see what that is. That's about 7 centimetres, so about 2 3/4 inches. So if we just do 8 centimetres for now, and then we can cut it down if we need to. So no, let's do 9. Let's give myself plenty. So just as a reminder, in the image you've just got these backgrounds jutting out. Oh, haven't cut this one. How did I miss that? There's 4 in the picture, but I don't believe I need 4. Oh, I can see that. And I did say, didn't I, that I would be covering the stenciling, but that's okay, it doesn't matter. This is temporary, so it's fine. Okay, so I like that actually, but I do think probably a couple of these, well actually I think they'll be okay coming off the top. I'm all right with that. So I'm going to round the corners. I feel like I've been gone for hours. I've gathered some stuff. I also cut a piece of music paper as well, because I thought that might go nice in between all this. So I was going to just pop that on as well. You only have to see a little bit of it, you don't have to see much. So pop that like that for now. Pop that back in there. And the tag. So I was looking for a fussy cut butterfly and I could not find one. Drove me insane. But I found other stuff. So I found this, but I think it's too big, which is a bit of a shame, but that's definitely going to be useful for the journal, and I'll probably, yeah, I'll take that off. Maybe I'll add some nice pink there. I did find some flowers, but I reckon the flowers are just going to get lost. And then I also found that, but that looks a bit too close. I've got that. That might work. It's not exactly me though. So I've got a butterfly punch. So I could put that then. I thought that looks quite nice. And I found some of this grey lace. Maybe that doesn't go. I know I'm going to have that on there. And then I've got some stamps, and I've got that little, it's too dark, because Rachel's got like a little stamp on there, so I could actually do a stamp if I've got room, but perhaps I won't have enough room. But I've got these stamps, and I thought this might go there underneath the butterfly. I think that looks quite nice. And what else have I got here? I do really like that stamp too, but I think I only need one stamp. I think I'm going to do something like that. So I'm just going to arrange it now. And then probably I'll do some stitching. But first of all, I need to glue. Let me just show you the stamp. No, sorry, punch. Punch. That's the punch. It's a bit dodgy though. It's a good few years old. And it does jam up. But it's quite useful because you can make pretty layers. So that should glue like that. And I think I'll leave the backing on the stamp. And put that like that. And then that can go on there like that. So I'll probably just put a stitch on there. try and work out how to position these so that I can get them all on there. So I think that'll go something like that, and then that goes there like that, and this goes off to the other side. So the first thing I need to do is I need to get this into position. So I'm going to, oh, it's the wrong way. I'm just going to do a bit of a stitch there, just to get them so that they're all secure. And then I'll come back and see what I want to do with the arrangement. Oh, and I also need to put that in there as well. Okay, that's in place. And then, oops, making a mess with my glue. I'm going to put that like that, and this is going to go over. Maybe I won't, maybe I will. So I think maybe I could have that going like that, actually. Don't think I need that then. I don't know, what do I do? Do I put something around there? Kind of distracts then from that, doesn't it? I don't think I need it. I'm going to go simple. Yeah, I'm going to go simple, and I'm going to stitch that and that, and then glue everything else in place. Okay, so let us glue that in place first. Got lots of loose pieces here. I mean, I like them, but not that many. So I can see all the bits. Now, obviously, I can't get mine to look like that because I don't have enough room. But I think that looks okay there. So I'm going to glue this in place. That's quite loose on there. So I need to fix that. I didn't really want it to be glued down, but I might have to. Okay, so this comes up like this now. So inside, I'll be able to have it like that as well when I do eventually sort out how I want this to look on the front. And you never know, I may keep it, but for now, all I'm doing is doing something temporary. And what I need is something like a paper clip, or like a little, can't think of the jumbo clips. You know what I'm saying. I'll go and find it now. So these types of clips. So I've got that one, I've got a white one, or I've got a rose one. I think for now, I'm going to go with a white one, I think. And all I want to do is just clip this in place like that. So this really is for a little bit of inspiration, and this is how I'm going to, it's a bit like a mood board, isn't it? It's how this journal hopefully is going to transpire. And let's pop my pages back in there, minus the scraps on my desk, which are getting out of hand. So that is how the journal is looking. Now, I've still got to consider a closure if I have one. I've got to bind these in. I've got to figure out a way of binding them. Lots of decisions to make. But for now, I am happy with the progress, and I have got enough to actually start doing the challenge and working on the 30-day prompts. So without realising it, I've really gathered some nice sort of pretty things that I can keep to one side to start using inside the journal. So I'm going to keep these because they'll be useful. They won't go to waste. And I will have some nice little embellishments to start playing with straight away. So I'm just going to put those to one side there. And I don't know what the actual schedule is at the point of me doing this video, because I wanted to get this video ready so that I could upload it in time for you to maybe have a go at making your own journal. So I can't say who's going to be first on the list, and I don't even know which prompt I'm going to be doing yet, which is quite scary, but I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine, and we'll get on with it, and we'll all be working together and showing you every day some inspiration on keeping a daily journaling spread going, whether that's collage, whether it's writing, whether it's stitching, anything creative. And that's what we're trying to do, is just keep the juices flowing with the creativity. So I hope you enjoyed this. I didn't know what it was going to turn out like when I started making this video, and I hope you like what I've done so far. You never know, I might even keep this on the front, who knows, but I know if I don't and I try and do something else, then I can always keep it in one of the pages here. I hope you will come on this journey with me. I don't know how many days I'm actually going to be recording, but I will try to keep a record of everything I'm doing, and if I do stuff over on Instagram, I'll make sure that I upload it as a YouTube short as well, so that you don't have to go swapping between the platforms. And I will try and do as many videos as I can over the next couple of weeks working in this little journal, and I really do hope you will join me on that journey. So until the next video, see you soon. Bye bye for now.
Wish that I could find the words to describe you